All right, looks like we worked out some of the kinks. This was supposed to be a little bit of a live Friday night Smackdown watch along, which maybe I'll do next week. Maybe I'll even do a Raw watch along. I know there's an AEW pay per view tomorrow night, so we can do a watch along for that as well. Um, we're going to be throwing a lot of live streams and a lot of podcasts at you in the next couple of months or so. For those of you that don't know me, I am Juice at Juice motherfucking Giorgio, or actually just at Juice Giorgio. Um, this is Rubbing the Rhubarb, the podcast, the live stream, whatever it might be. Little critique tonight of SmackDown since in the title. It's only fair. I thought overall, just like the product has been over the last almost 2 decades, quite frankly, but really for the last decade, it's just been too micromanaged. There's too much writing, too much bad writing, too much acting, too much bad acting. But I did enjoy some segments. I did enjoy the whole setup for the Clash of Champions. I don't know why it's not Clash of the Champions. I don't know why it's Clash of Champions. I don't know if it's because they have to distinguish it from the WCW Clash of the Champions title, which those are great. For those that aren't familiar, Clash of the Champions was broadcasted, I believe, on TBS, and it was basically a pay-per-view that WCW did that was on basic cable TV, and it's an awesome concept. And that was also before you had 3 hours on Monday nights, 4 hours on Wednesday nights if you had both shows, 2 hours on Friday nights, plus a monthly pay-per-view. So I think absence making the heart grow fonder definitely applies to the world of pro wrestling. The product, and not even just the WWE, but in general, it's just oversaturated. There's way too much of it, and it's quantity over quality. And I've been with the network from day one. 6.5 years ago when they launched, I was one of the first people to have it, and probably one of the first people to call Stamford to customer service when the stream wasn't working correctly. Because I love the network. It's one of the best things you do. The free, and again, with the free, they're trying to pump out this free version of it. I haven't looked into it. I've been with the $9.99 a month version since day one. I have no complaints. If anything, I do get a little ticked off at some of their documentaries because they pull back the curtain a little too much. We know it's not a real sport, but it went from sports entertainment to now it's just they call themselves entertainment. And honestly, most of it's not even entertaining. At least when they put on the faux appearance that it was a sport, like when I was a kid in the early 90s, before my dad had the Santa Claus conversation with me about wrestling, it looked like a real sort of sporting event. And now it just looks so gimmicky, and everything's covered in LED boards, and it's just so over the top. And with these documentaries, it's just like, I don't want to see how the sausage is made all the time. You know, you don't have to throw it in our face 24/7 that it's written, that you have writers, that you have producers, that you have backstage handlers, that you have a seamstress, that you have wardrobe designers. Some of it's cool to see, but maybe have it released by a third party, even if it's a fake, like a third party, just to still, I want the illusion that some of this is fucking real. So, with that said, I did enjoy the whole Uso versus Reigns setup, and I'm enjoying the heel version of Roman Reigns, to be honest with you. It's long overdue. They've obviously been doing the Super Cena route with him, and it just wasn't working. Maybe kids liked him, maybe women liked him, but that's not their core audience, and the children aren't the one buying the tickets. And if I had to guess, it's probably like a 25-1 ratio of male to female fans, and I'd be surprised. Maybe it's 15-1, but I'd be surprised if it was more. If I'll be generous, I'll say maybe it's 10-1, and I'd be surprised if it was less than that or more than that. However that works out, in the favor of there being less and way less women wrestling fans out there than men wrestling fans, and they're shoving this whole women's division down our throat on all the products, on NXT, on AEW, and it's great. And I will never knock the talent, and they're taking advantage of opportunity that's handed to them. And I'm a big proponent of good women's wrestling, but even you could make an argument back in the early 2000s when the WWF, before it was E, was on fire. You had you would do per pay-per-view event, and it had to be a big one, like a WrestleMania. You'd have a gimmicky women's match, and you'd have a serious women's match, probably for the title. And that's really all we want, and that's really all we need. I don't speak for anyone but me, but I would think like-minded fans, I don't think women need to take up more than 20 to 25% of the show, and I even think that's a lot. And I'm not counting valets, I'm not counting ring announcers, I'm not counting backstage announcers, I'm not counting broadcast journalists, as Bobby Heenan would say, commentators, whatever you want to call them. I mean in-ring women wrestling, and I mean promo cutting. But that's just me. I've only been a fan for 30 years at this point almost. What the fuck do I know? And I've watched the highs and I've watched the lows. And like I said, even though I enjoyed the ending of Smackdown tonight personally, overall the show to me just dragged. At one point, I had to turn it off, and I actually put on AEW because I haven't watched AEW in a couple of months because just the whole COVID thing just really drained the life to me out of even watching wrestling in these empty arenas. And I know AEW really did a much better job overall than the WWE since COVID started. And I liked the Thunderdome. I guess they debuted it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And I liked it, and I still do like it. I think it's a great alternative to doing the Full Sail / training center setup that they do. But the problem is, again, it's just over the top with these LED boards. And ever since 2006, I got a 42-inch DLP TV, digital light projection. It didn't last for that long, but it was like a nice bang for your buck for how big the screen can get. And I remember even back in 2006, with these newer technology high-def TVs that weren't made out of glass, like the older school, like 2002 TVs, there would always be issues when the show would start, when superstars would come out with these big flashy fucking strobe lights and all these LED lights that they do and these elaborate setups, which look great in person. But do any of these people have a fucking TV that make the show? Does Vince McMahon ever actually watch the show? Does anybody ever have a TV at home and watch the show that actually is involved in producing the show? Because even now, it's 2020, it's 14 years later. And I know the setups are like on crack compared to 14 years ago, but it's still with the flashy lights and everything. But it's so over the top that it's like, you can't let the hardware that they build these TVs with keep up with what they're trying to make the TVs replicate in your living room. And I don't know, if I had to guess, I would say 15 to 20% of Smackdown tonight was pixelated because of the over-the-top Thunderdome LED lights. And it's just, if I'm watching my TV, I don't want to feel like I have a shitty internet connection. I mean, even though now I do get my TV through the internet, that wasn't always the case. Back in 2006, maybe you rent a movie on Xbox instead of going to Blockbuster, but that's really it. I'm not expecting a live chat, but let's see. Yeah, I don't want to go against my boy, which I kind of am, the big man, who I hope to get on here one day, the big man Don Tony. I don't even know if this is going to archive, but I want to do a little test. I think this is going well. It's fun. And you really just have to get started. And then once you get started and you have a talk track, you can sort of just go. And I think tomorrow night I'll probably do a live watch along with AEW. And that's really all I have to say about that. So this is going to be a fun channel. I think you're going to like it a lot. There's going to be a lot of guests, a lot of characters. And this is just one of the many things we're going to talk about. So the one thing I don't want to do is lock this channel into, oh, it's politics, oh, it's sports, oh, it's wrestling, oh, it's the news. We want to just talk about things that we find interesting, maybe things that we're knowledgeable about, and whatever we're not knowledgeable, I don't know why the fuck I can't say that word, but whatever we might just scratch the surface on in terms of knowledge, but we're interested, we'll have people come in and talk about it. And we hope that you'll give us a listen or give us a view. I wouldn't expect any subscribers just yet, but we'll get to that point, and I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. The idea is, if we get a following, great. If not, we're sort of just doing this as a hobby. But if we do grow, which is the idea, which is what we'd like to have happen, then we can down the road get higher and higher profile guests. But essentially, we're just creating content ourselves. We're not relying on having guests to come in and boost our views and kind of dictate our content and what we talk about. We want to be kind of in a free, we want to just freely and openly talk about whatever we talk about. Some of us are going to have different views than others when it comes to certain topics. Some of us are going to have a different level of expertise on different topics. But I think the one thing we all want to have in common is we all just want to have a good time. We all just want to have fun with this. And I think we will. And I hope you do as well. And that's really the idea. There's probably, I would say, 2 other partners to this channel. At the end of the day, it's my channel. At the end of the day, this is probably going to be owned 50-50. Some of it's going to be 33 1/3, and some of it's going to be 100%. But the channel is mine. The podcast is mine for now. And we'll just kind of see where it goes. But like I said, the intent here is to have fun. And we're going to fucking hopefully bring that to you. We have a lot of ideas in store. We are going to talk about sports. Yes, we will talk about politics at certain times. Maybe certain shows will be devoted just to politics, but we'll let you know ahead of time in case you want to tune out of that one. But maybe you want a recap of week 1 of the NFL or whatever the hell it might be. But with that said, I'm gonna call it a day because I don't want to take viewers away from my man DT Don Tony, who this is his time slot, so to speak. And I am one of his Patreons as well as a fan. But I think maybe tomorrow night I might do an AEW show. Just a live watch along. We'll see what happens. And I have some ideas in the pipeline. But why shoot my load now? There's some bullets in the chamber, but I don't have to shoot them all tonight. So with that said,